The Lenape, Unit 1, Lesson 4B. About 1,100 years ago, many small villages lined the rivers, lakes, and streams of what is now New Jersey. The people who lived in the villages called themselves the Lenni Lenape, meaning the original people. The Lenape can be divided into two main language groups, the Munsee and the Unami. The Munsee lived north of the Delaware Water Gap and the Raritan River. The Unami lived mostly south of the Raritan River. The Lenape lived in separate villages, but they shared similar cultures or ways of life. In warm weather, they grew crops. In winter, they hunted. Lenape men and women had specific jobs in the village. The men were the hunters. Late in fall, they left the villages for their favorite hunting spots. They spent the winter in shelters made from animal skins and poles. The men used bows and arrows to hunt for bears and deer. Bears were killed for their meat, skins, and fat. Bear fat was made into a lotion to protect against insect bites. Deer provided many things for the Lenape. The meat was added to stews or smoked and stored for later use. Skins were used to make leggings, skirts, shoes, and winter coats. Antlers and bones were sharpened into tools for sewing. The insides of the deer were dried and stretched to make thread. The women were the farmers. They planted corn in small mounds. Once the corn grew a few inches, they planted beans. At the base of the beans and corn, they planted squash. Cooking was done by the women too. They used corn at almost every meal. Whole corn was boiled or roasted and eaten on the cob. They would also grind corn into a flour to make bread. The women had many other jobs. They wove grass mats, spun rope, made clay pots, and gathered firewood. They dried and stored food for winter. They also went into the forest to gather wild berries, fruits, roots, and nuts. Boys went hunting and fishing with their fathers to provide the family with food. They also helped chop down trees, build homes, and make canoes. The girls helped their mothers gather and grow food and cook meals. The girls also helped their mothers make all the pots, baskets, and clothing for the family. There was a lot of work to do, but the people also played games. Boys practiced their aim with bows and arrows. In the hoop and pole game, the hunter tried to throw a pole through a moving hoop. This helped the boy to hit a moving target. Wrestling was a common game of skill. Children had races and contests to test their speed and strength. Girls played with dolls. They dressed them in costumes. The games were fun, but they served an important purpose.